What's up? On today's episode, we talk to Justin Murphy from ICoach Nutrition. We talk about business models, mentors, mindset shifts, and what made him catapult his business into what it is today.
This is the Marketing Natives, providing actionable ways to grow, improve, and succeed in your business. And now, your hosts, Christian and Aaron.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We have Justin with ICoach Nutrition, great guest here, and super excited to have him on. I'm really hoping I can ask some questions personally to him. This was just an excuse so he could get on here to help us out through what's going on with this coronavirus. And I'm just kidding. It's going to add a lot of value to you guys as a nutritionist and helping you to achieve a better level of fitness. But also, I think it'll be really interesting to hear his entrepreneurial journey. That's what you guys are here, and can't wait for you guys to hear more about Justin. So welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm excited to chat it up with y'all. How was y'all's Labor or the Memorial Day weekend we just had here?
It was good. It was good. I actually had got a little bit of sun. I traveled a little bit, so it was better than staying at home, I guess. That's what I've been doing for the past 2 months.
I was gonna say I'm over here in Prosper, and so our Memorial Day was filled with a whole bunch of rain. not too exciting. So I definitely not the normal go out to the lake scenario.
I know. And I was going to say, what was it? At like 8:00 yesterday, it started to clear up, and I was like, the sun better not come out now at 8:00 and stop raining. Basically when Memorial Day's over and we have nothing.
Yeah.
It was rough, but regardless. So for those who don't know you, have never heard of you, tell us a little bit about your business and what you do. Obviously, you're located in Prosper, but what is ICoach Nutrition?
Yeah. So, like you said, I'm a nutritionist. I've been in kind of the nutrition and fitness field now for about 10 years. I kind of started off doing personal training and then kind of got into the whole CrossFit world. And then from there, once I graduated with my nutrition degree, I went full on nutrition coaching, online nutrition and lifestyle coaching. So for the past 3 years, that's what I've done with ICoach Nutrition. ICoach Nutrition, it's just like kind of an iPhone, right? That's kind of how the branding looks there. But it just stands for individualized coaching. And so we as a company, like we're the farthest thing from, maybe your old school or like traditional ways of like, hey, here's a meal plan, good luck. And it's more of like one line nutrition and lifestyle coaching. That's 100% individualized to you and your lifestyle and everything that you have going on. So it's really cool. I've had the opportunity over the last 3 years to be able to work with clients all over the world. And it's as a virtual nutritionist, I have the ability to help people accomplish whatever goals that they have and do it all virtually. So it's been awesome to be able to do that. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me as a nutritionist, as an entrepreneur, as y'all know, there's been tons of ups and downs, but I kind of started that journey for me. I had a unique opportunity to basically start my company under another company. Did that for a year, and then kind of that gave me the confidence to be able to kind of make the jump and start my own. So over the last 2 years, it's been my company, ICoach Nutrition, building that up. And yeah, just it's been very interesting. Everything from building up a team to then changing the business model to working with a business coach and business mentor to spending money on all this stuff and wasting money on all this stuff and things going good and things going bad, and I mean the list goes on and on and on. But yeah, I've to sum it all up, I've kind of been sports and just living a healthy lifestyle has been something that's been a big part of my life, my whole since the beginning of my life. And so over the last 10 years, I've really been able to kind of dive into the nutrition, fitness, even kind of the rehab sector to be able to help clients to feel and look and perform their best. So
why didn't you go, or did you ever, because you mentioned a little bit about doing personal training and the CrossFit, did you ever want to go that route and just do like personal training, or did you start like there and do that for a while and then realize that you didn't care for it, so you moved to nutrition? Or why the shift there?
Yeah. Well, so I to be honest, my story started there in Kansas. I came back from Kansas. I had, I stopped playing college football at that moment. I was just going to school doing like community college, and I was looking for a job. And I was looking between Home Depot and 24-hour fitness. And my Home Depot, I guess like the interviewer, she actually no-showed me. And so the next day I had 24-hour fitness, got the job there to just work front desk. Like I was just like doing minimum wage, folding towels. And one day, one of the personal trainers came up to me and asked me if I wanted to work out with them. I started doing it. And then he was like, why aren't you a personal trainer? Like, why are you working front desk? I was like, what the hell is a personal trainer? I mean, I had no idea.
Wow.
I went to go and take my first personal training certification, and I actually failed it. And so I was like, man, maybe this just isn't like meant for me. Long story short, I ended up studying for another month, passed it, became like the top grossing trainer at that gym. And the whole time I was going to school, I just knew like as a personal trainer, I didn't want to go to school for kinesiology or like exercise phys, because like that's what all the personal trainers did. So I was like, I know nutrition is the missing link, especially for like the majority of like the gym pop clients that I work with, right? Most of their goals is to lose weight. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to school for nutrition, and I'm going to get my nutrition degree. And then that way, even if I do stay in personal training, or because I thought I was going to become like a gym owner, right? Like that's kind of the route of a lot of people. And so I thought I was going to do that, and nutrition would just be something that would kind of be like an assistance for me in building that. So that's kind of why I decided to go to the nutrition route versus just doing like kinesiology or exercise phys.
One question from that that's kind of sparked a thought from me anyway is so you became the top grossing personal trainer, which is awesome. I mean, just a really quick explanation, like how I think a lot of people would probably be curious to know how you did that, because it seems like sales or like the growing your business doesn't seem to be, it comes more naturally to you, maybe, I don't know. But I've talked to a lot of people who want to be personal trainers or who are in that gym phase, and that's like the hardest thing for them because they focus so much on being the best trainer that they forget to grow their business. So I was just curious, like, how did people choose you, or how did you grow your business that way to get to that level?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think without diving maybe too much into the backstory, I think that I learned a lot of my like entrepreneurial tendencies from one, my dad's an entrepreneur, and two, I was let's just say I was a kid growing up that got in trouble a lot, and for things like everything from like selling drugs to just doing all that type of stuff. And so I learned a lot through that process, and I 100% to this day think that it transferred into everything I do now, not with all the negative stuff, but like just in terms of like the business piece, like the sales piece, like just the entrepreneur like hustling mentality. But with that said, when I was at 24-hour fitness, I was around phenomenal mentors there, like my club manager, my fitness manager, my membership manager, some of the master trainers there. Like I had great mentors and role models there. And I just loved it. Like for me, like working out and being fit and all that, like that was my life up to that point. That's all I had ever known. And so it was really weird to me that people like struggled with being able to live a healthy lifestyle. And so once I started to figure out and kind of connect the dots there as to, okay, here's everything I know how to do, and I need to start being able to learn how to help other people do this too. Right. And so bridging that gap, I think like me going to school, get my nutrition degree, and working in the field at the same exact time, right, which a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do, I feel like that really helped me, and that really allowed me to excel. And I was driven very much so financially too, right? So it was like I wanted to make as much money as I could there. At 24-hour fitness in a corporate setting, though, it's like you have a ceiling over your head, right? I mean, you're only like, they really kind of screw you bad. You make like maybe 30% of what they're charging. So wow. Just to give you perspective, the last month before when I was there, which was like the highest month I ever had, I grossed about $24,000 and got paid about $8,000. And I did 204 sessions. These are 50-minute sessions, 204 sessions in 1 month to gross that. So you can understand, I mean, I'm working like, I'm training like 10, 15 clients a day, 5 days a week doing, for that. Right. And not to mention I was in school full time as well. So
Right.
I was just like, I was hustling really, really, really hard. And I was very, very motivated and driven, and it was great. I mean, I've always been that way. I just knew for me, like, I wasn't going to stay at 24-hour fitness forever. I thought it was a great starting place, and I was there for like about 4 years. And so, I mean, I'm forever grateful for it. I think if I wouldn't have started at that particular place with those people, I don't think I would have been I don't think I'd still be in the field. There's no way. Because it was probably one of the best foundations I could ever build. And it allowed me to then go and excel into everything else. I mean, me and those master trainers, we were traveling. I spent $10,000 on personal development within those first 4 years at 24-hour fitness. So like I was flying around and going to all these seminars, certifications. Like I wanted, like, I really, really cared, and I wanted to become the best. And I knew very early on, I wanted to make this like a career, not just what a lot of people do with 24 or with personal training, which is like just kind of like a little side hustle. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think, I know I kind of went a lot of different places with that, but I think that's kind of what allowed me to excel. And I had the competition of all those great trainers that I wanted to like prove myself, and I wanted to perform and get better and better, and really just like prove to, like, I was going through a complete life transformation at that time. I basically came from my lowest low and was rebuilding my whole entire life back up. So I really wanted to succeed,
You mentioned earlier that, I don't know if you entertained the idea of owning a gym. Was that ever something that you actually delved into a little bit more, or do you kind of kill that idea early on about like, owning a gym and being a gym owner that way, or business owner that way?
Yeah, great question. Well, so after 24-hour fitness, I kind of started getting into CrossFit, and I had the opportunity to go and work at like one of the biggest and best CrossFit gyms in DFW. And so through those 5 years of being there, I learned a lot, right? Because this was one of the most successful CrossFit gyms in the area. And yeah, I thought that was going to be the route. I thought I was going to want to go and open up CrossFit gyms and do all of that. But and especially over these last few years with everything that's happened with just like the online world, if you will, right? I gained some perspective, and I was like, man, like, I don't want to own a gym. Like, I don't want to deal with the overhead of having like a storefront type of thing. Like, if I could sit here and do everything that I'm doing, but do it all online, why would I want to, have like a gym like that in person? So at first I thought that's what I wanted to do. And then I completely changed my business model. Like, probably, I would say the first 3 years, it was still the idea. And then maybe like at that 4th, 5th year mark, I started really realizing that, okay, I need to get on. If I'm gonna make this a career, I need to get online. And then we just saw what just happened with, everything here with coronavirus. And it's like, I know so many gym owners, I know so many personal trainers that are in person that hadn't made that jump online. And these last few months have been, absolutely terrible. So I'm forever grateful that I guess got my big boy pants on and made the jump when I did, because I think I was scared for 8 years to make that jump to starting my own business. And I finally did it. And I did it, at really, like, I feel like I waited too long, but if anything, it was the perfect timing before everything that just happened here,
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, so since you do it completely online and you used to do like in person and you were part of the cross training, like, do you miss the other side of the business where you're not in person? Do you ever I mean, obviously you can help coach people all over the world, but do you ever have people in DFW and they pay extra to meet up with you in person, or like, do you miss that side of the business, or is it even still available for you?
I mean, I definitely miss like the community aspect of CrossFit. I mean, I was competing in CrossFit. So I was like competing at regionals, and I was like really, really into it there for 5 years. And so we had a community of like 300 plus people. So that community aspect, going into a gym setting, having the community doing the events together, like all that stuff was phenomenal. But, I try to create that even online, right? I mean, all of the coaching calls that I do are just like this. They're video coaching calls. We have like our online, community, like the private Facebook group and things like that. But with any of the clients that I do work with that are local, like it's one of those situations where if I feel like I need to go out of my way to make them succeed, so maybe it's, let's say, they're struggling with like the whole meal prepping process or whatever, like I might actually go grocery shopping with them. Like I might actually go to their house with them and like go through a cooking meal prepping segment with them. Like if they need that, like I'll do it. And like if we need to go, like I might go hit a workout with clients every once in a while, here or there. Right. So I do things like that just because like the one-on-one connection, like the human connection element of coaching is everything. And so I try to prioritize that as much as I possibly can. And things have been a little weird here with the whole quarantine situation, but I've had a lot of clients bring up ideas, and we're probably going to start doing more of this. Of like, I had a client who was like, man, let's host like an annual like crawfish boil. And I was like, yeah, like, let's do it. Like, he was like, let's do an ICoach Nutrition, like crawfish boil. Right. And so there's so many possibilities of things, but at the same time, I would say 50% or less of my clients are local, and the rest are outside of the state and even outside the US. So I try to focus on the online community as much as possible, but at the same time, like there are little things that we do there with kind of in person. And of course I miss it, but I love the flexibility with online coaching way more than having to go into a gym. And even for like, as a nutritionist, like, the old school way of things is like, I would have an office. So the client would have to drive to my office. We would have an hour long, session, and then they would drive home. And so really this is just way more convenient for both parties because you're not wasting time driving, and you can do it virtually. So, and one thing that actually really surprised you is I've actually found that clients open up so much faster with virtual coaching than they ever did in person.
I believe that.
And there's probably a few, there's many different reasons behind it, but I think that, it's one of those things, right? If you go and you meet somebody in person for the first time, like it's just always like a little bit awkward, even if they're the most like outgoing people in the world, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that like it kind of, I think doing it over the phone or doing it even through Zoom like this, like it's so much easier to connect and open up, and sometimes even open up faster than what you would in person. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are surprised by that, but I have found that over the last 3 years here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that, because I feel like it's to me it seems a little bit less intimidating. It's like the guard is down, or for whatever reason. I don't know. There's probably a psychological way to explain it, but yeah, I just feel like the guards are down a little bit more. It's they're not looking at your every move. I mean, even though they are, but it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, in person becomes, hey, this is this person, but it's like, do we handshake? Do we hug when we leave? Do we, like what do we do here? Like there's no like set rule about judging somebody like on how you should approach them.
Yeah. Well, and we always talk about like you got to build the know, like, and trust factor, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if you think about it, like what social media has done for us is like me being on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these places. It's like what I always like kind of joke with people about, but it's kind of true, is like people marinate on the content that you're putting out for 3 to 6 months. And that kind of creates that know, like, and trust factor for them. And a lot of the times when I go on these discovery calls before clients even sign up, like they already feel like they know me, like they already feel like those know, like, and trust factor is established. So I think that's really cool. I think that's some of the positive ways to look at social media in this 2020 world, where a lot of people think social media is like the worst thing in the world.
You think you attribute a lot of that success with your company with social media, or has it been more on the website side of things, maybe word of mouth?
Yeah, I would say, definitely social media for sure. These days now, since I kind of transitioned my business model and like it's just me, I don't have coaches under me anymore. I would say definitely 100% my number one lead generator is referral, which makes sense because like I'm the only coach now, right? But yeah, definitely social media. Definitely another thing that's actually a big driver for us is like the Google business listing, right? Because every single time that anybody search, like you could go do it right now, if you search for a nutritionist or a registered dietitian or a nutrition coach, like in this area around me, Prosper, Plano, Frisco, these areas, like ICoach Nutrition comes up in the top 3 every single time that you search for that. So I get a lot of leads from like our Google business listing, and then some from the website. But I don't like, if you were to rank or if you were to search like not locally here, like I would definitely not be coming up in the top 3. There's so many huge nutrition coaching companies, but that's why for me, like trying to take advantage of the local market, and trying to be like the #1 nutrition and lifestyle coach here in DFW. That's like my #1 goal. And then from there extending out. So.
Right. Dominate this market. I mean, there's what I think I saw, it was a meme this morning, and it was about something else, but it was like, I think it's like 25 or 30 other states that are smaller than DFW. So it's like DFW has like 7.9 or whatever million people. And it's like, it compares to all the other states. Like literally Kansas has like 4 million people. Nebraska has like 5 million people. So it's like their whole state has as much as like we do in this DFW area. So like, I mean, you could absolutely just dominate it right here and be more than most states, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, and to your point, I mean, if you think about Dallas, like the most popular thing to do out here is to go eat and go get drinks, right? It's like foodie nation, right? So if I lived in Colorado and was trying to capture the local market, I think I would be focused way more on like performance-based nutrition and not like weight loss-based nutrition. Because yeah, this market out here, I mean, it couldn't be better, because there are so many people out here that, they struggle with that side of the equation, which is like being so active or not being active, being so inactive, right? And working, sitting down all the time and not working out, and basically eating out more than they're actually cooking themselves, and then all the social drinking that goes with it, and the stress of these, jobs. So it's like this market out here, this Dallas area it's a great area to be in. For me, I think I was a little clueless of that when I first started, just because that was where I was from. But now as I've gotten deeper in the game, I'm like, wow, yeah, this is actually the perfect market to be in.
What would you say is like, so you have that, and obviously we were talking a little bit offline before we got on here, like, and you mentioned a little bit here is just like trying different things, trying new things, shifting the business, changing the business. I feel like there's always an evolution of growth. There's always an evolution of change that's happening within our business. What's like a current roadblock or thing that you're trying to figure out now as your business takes it to that next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I feel like I just overcame a huge roadblock like over the last few months as I transitioned. I had built up, I had this idea, I wanted to build this big company with this big team and all these coaches and everything, and had my son, and that changed my perspective quite a bit. And so I essentially went from a team of, what do we have? 4, 5, like 5, 6 people to just transitioning back to me. And that happened like over the last like year or so. So getting over that roadblock, like mentally was big, because in a sense, it's like, you kind of feel like a failure. You're like, you wanted to build this big team, a big company, all this. And then you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to do that anymore. But I think ultimately I had to take a step back in order to take steps forward. And it was 100,000% the right move, because now I'm in a better place in terms of just the company in general, but also just like mental health. I mean, like stress levels and all of those things as well. And just being able to spend more time with my family. Cause for me, it was like the reason why I started the company in the first place was because I wanted to be around my family. Like I wanted to be somebody that like spent a lot of time around my family, just because that was a big motivator for me, because I didn't have that growing up. And so I kind of had this realization. I was like, man, I could sit here and build this big old company with all these, making all this money or whatever. But like, if I'm sitting here traveling all the time and like never home, which was what was starting to happen, I was like, I'm completely like, what's the point of this? Like, I'm doing the complete opposite of what the reason why I started this company in the first place. Mm-hmm. And so, Yeah, I think that was something I really struggled with. I mean, but I think that you have to put your pride aside sometimes with business. You got to ask yourself why you are doing, what you're doing in the first place. And I started my business with a business mentor, with a business coach who I was paying a lot of money to, and who he had a $5 million company. So he was,
Wow.
multiple years ahead of me. And the biggest problem, the biggest mistake I made is I just let him basically build my business. Not, I did it, but like it was his vision in a sense, right? It wasn't my vision. And so before I knew it, I got to a place where it was like, crap, like I'm growing, I'm building, like everything's great, but here I am, and like I'm doing the exact opposite of why I set out to start this business in the first place. And so I worked with him for about a year. I transitioned out of that. I kind of got my mind right as to what I wanted, and then I had to take the steps to make that transition. And then now, I'm glad that I did it, but it was hard, and it was I definitely had the second thought. I had the thoughts coming into your head as to like, like any entrepreneur does, where it's like, man, maybe I'm gonna have to go back to XYZ, or maybe this isn't gonna work, or just all the self-doubt and fear. Because like if you have a coach, a business mentor, right? And then you remove it, like automatically you think like, oh, maybe like I can't succeed without that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially because like my first year of business was extremely successful. It was way more successful than I had ever thought. But I made a huge investment to work with him, which was a big reason why, I was able to have that much success. So it was almost like, man, can I be successful without him type of situation.
Right.
So,
I've never really done it or grown the business without having him in place.
right. So, but I mean, I'm happy to say now it's been multiple months since I've transitioned the last, person on the team out, and like, and all that went really, really well. I mean, it was very civil and happy, and like there was nothing bad about it. It's just like at the end of the day, like I knew that I was glad that I made the move when I did, because if I would have kept pushing it out because of my own ego and waiting longer and longer, it probably would have been a worse situation to transition out of. So I don't know. Entrepreneurship's weird, man. It's like it's such a weird journey. I think it's very similar into the people that I work with, though, right? Like with nutrition journeys, because the majority of people that I work with are people that literally are coming to me like wanting to transform their life. And like no different than how I had to transform my life 10 years ago after going from being a freaking head of a kid to starting to make something of myself. Like that was a really hard transition. And I think for so many people, like they get to this place where they like lose integrity with themselves. They ultimately don't believe that they can actually do anything on this side of the thing, nutrition and fitness, right? Like maybe it's weight, like they've gotten to a point where they're so overweight, and now they're getting, they had the visit with the doctor, they got the type 2 diabetes, they high blood pressure, like they hit rock bottom with their health, right? They get the scare, right? And then it basically wakes them up and makes them realize like, oh my God, like I only have this one body, I only have this like one opportunity here at life. And as kids start coming into the mix, they're like, I want to be that example for my kid, So it's like, I can relate so much, because I too had to go through a transformative process like that. It wasn't weight loss, but it was like overcoming addiction and just like living like the fast life and just overcoming all of that. And it's very similar. I have, like I told you, I had a lot of friends that were all in that world, and I know several people that were like literally like drug dealers, and now they're successful entrepreneurs that are doing 100% legal things. It was just like, they struggled with addiction. Like I have a friend, I won't mention his name, but he has he does the same thing I do. He has an extremely successful coaching company, and he was addicted to heroin for 8 years.
What? Wow.
Now he has a extremely successful company, manages a huge team, has been sober ever since then. He's been sober for almost 10 years now. And it goes to show, if you look at addiction, it doesn't matter if your addiction is drugs or alcohol or food or anything else. Like addiction is addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about transforming your life and overcoming addictions, very, very similar parallels. And so I think that's where God put me into a place to be able to do what I do now and help people and serve people in that way. I might not have to lose 100 pounds, but I had to lose 100 pounds of this in between my ears, overcoming all of the mental health battles. So I think that's where I've been able to kind of relate and really help people to overcome their struggles in life when it comes to this side of the equation.
I was going to say
something interesting.
Go ahead.
That you mentioned when we were talking about the coaches is that the coach essentially was running your company, right? That was his vision, not your vision. That's something that we also had to kind of learn, right? When we started using business coaches as well. We didn't use business coaches towards the beginning, but as of recent last year, we have this idea that our coaches would tell us exactly what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or give us the answers to what do we need to do in this situation. And what they've taught us is that that's not their vision, right? If they would tell us everything that we need to do, then the company wouldn't be ours anymore. It would be theirs. So that's very interesting that you said that, because we actually learned that, right, this last year. And it makes, absolute sense. A business coach should be someone that helps you figure out what you already know, right? And that's been a huge learning curve. So anyone who's listening right now and wanting to start a business and thinks that they need, a business coach to tell them exactly what they need to do, that's not the purpose necessarily of a business coach. They're there to guide you to what your vision of your own company is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see those blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that Justin, to that point, I'd be curious because I think it was like last week or a week before I was listening to a podcast where they said it doesn't matter what's going on in your business or life or anything. To your point, it's more about like getting that headspace. It is all where it starts is in your head, and you have to change that first before everything else happens. So I'm just curious. So now that you've been through that, if you weren't able to be an entrepreneur, do you know what field or which area you would go into? Because I have no doubt you'd be successful in it. But like, say you're forced out of it, you're no longer allowed to. Your wife said you're no longer allowed to be a nutritionist. I don't like you, cooking food anymore. You're not allowed to do it. So you have to go find something new. What do you think you would enjoy doing?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think that even if it wasn't like, if I wasn't in the nutrition fitness field at all, like, I think that I'm good at sales. So I think that, I mean, and that's the thing, like, I've had opportunities to go and do sales at like big companies, like through connections. And because people still think that like the nutrition and fitness field, you're just like struggling all the time. You don't ever make any money. And I'm like, guys, it's actually not the case, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that I look at opportunities with going and doing sales jobs. And I think that's probably where I would thrive the most, regardless of like what the industry was. I don't know if I could ever do it because I think that like I have to do my own thing. Like, mm-hmm. I've been doing my own thing now. I mean, even working for 24 Hour Fitness or working for the CrossFit gym there, like, you're still pretty much an entrepreneur. I mean, I guess you're an intrapreneur or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I had to sell myself to get clients at 24 Hour Fitness. I had to sell myself when I was at the gym there, because I still did personal training there too. Like, I think sales is definitely where I would thrive, regardless of what the industry was. And I know that for me, 100%, I could never, ever work for somebody where I had a ceiling over my head, because as soon as I reach that ceiling, my motivation is gone. Mm-hmm. So I have to. That's why I love entrepreneurship so much, right? It's like, I mean, I have no ceiling. The ceiling is limitless. It's all up to how hard I want to work.
Absolutely. No, that's a good point. And I was going to say, I could definitely tell from the outside and what you've told us that, yeah, that'd be interesting to put you on a side job, just selling some cell phones or something like that at AT&T to kind of destroy the people there and be like, look, I'm better than you. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I mean, I'm not proud of this, but it just kind of shows how much of a like little hustler entrepreneur I was. You all hear the stories of like the lemonade stands and all. I mean, I did all that, but like, there was a time I was charging kids to get into the skate park and the skate park was free.
Yes.
Like I mean, Pokemon card, Yu-Gi-Oh, baseball card. Like I didn't grow up with money. And so I figured it out, but I also have my life saved by, finding, like, fitness saved my life, nutrition saved my life, because it was like, I finally found something that, like, I was good at, I could thrive with, I could provide for my family and all of that, but like in a very healthy, positive, legal way. So I mean, I don't know. I'm extremely blessed. I'm extremely grateful. My life could have gone a completely different direction, and I will never, ever, ever forget that. I'll never take it for granted. And I think that, like, the position that I've been blessed to be in, I mean, I don't see, knowing what happened to me 10 years ago, I really don't think that I would ever get out of coaching. Like, I think that I will, because a lot of really what I do, I mean, I always joke, like, of course I call myself a nutritionist, nutrition coach. I mean, it's because I have a nutrition degree, but I mean, come on, like I'm like a life coach. Like, a lot of what I'm doing is life coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So many people that come to me, they're like, man, you helped me so much with nutrition and fitness. But to be honest with you, like, I became such a better husband, father, mother, employee at my work, right? Like, because that's the thing, nutrition and fitness is the foundation to everything. So it's like, once I can establish that, then your personal and professional development goes to the roof,
Absolutely.
So,
I completely agree with that. I think for myself anyway, it's like, if I eat bad and then I don't work out and it's been several days, I think my addiction is to working out or to nutrition or like to eating like something better or whatever. Obviously I eat pizza all the time. I'll probably eat that later. But my point is, like, if it goes too long, then I get like irritable, or I just don't focus well. Like, it's just like, I know that I'm not like 100%. So I completely understand, or like get what you're saying there. It's like, what your next level is, and it just like drops it if you're not taking care of, like what you said, the one body you got.
yeah, I mean, 100%. At the end of the day, it's like, if you feel like crap when you wake up every day and you have no energy, you're not going to go crush it in life. Like, it's just, it's plain and simple. So that's the tagline, right? It's like, everybody that comes through, I call it ICoach University, right? So it's like the process of educating them and equipping them with the tools that they need to be successful on their own. Like, when they go through that process, like, once they get done and then moving on throughout the rest of their life, because there's no starting and stopping to this, right? I mean, it's living a healthy lifestyle forever. So it's like, they should, right? We want you to start feeling and looking and performing better and better and better and better as you continue to be more and more and more consistent. And for so many people, I mean, the average age group I work with is probably like 40 to 60. So, I mean, we're combating 40 to 60 years of the habits that you've built up into this point that have gotten you to where you are today. Don't expect it to change overnight, right? Like, and so everybody I work with, I always say, I'm like, every client, like, before we even start working together, I'm like, it's going to be at least bare minimum a 6-month process of working together, because you have to understand, like, again, we're going against all these habits that we've been built. And from a mindset perspective, that's where really the main shifts have to happen, because you're combating all of your experiences that you've had up to this point, good and bad. Right? And you've formulated a lot of opinions and ideas. You've told yourself a lot of stories. And I mean, we're going to have to really navigate through a lot of that. So yeah, I get really, really deep with clients. It's, I mean, I'm obviously not a therapist, so I stay with my scope here, but I mean, you could argue that coaches are therapists in a sense too. I mean, you're dealing with people's lives here, and the more that and longer you work with clients, like, the more you get to know them, the more you dive deeper into them. And again, the more that they trust you and, know you, like you, trust you, like, you're going to learn a lot about people. And I mean, that's one of my favorite things about it, is like, I think that, human connection, feeling like you have a coach on your team, feeling like you have somebody you can talk to, like, it's important. There's a lot of people, especially as we get older and older and older, that don't have that. They lose their parents, or they don't have a spouse, or, and they really struggle, especially during times like this when we're in isolation. That's when anxiety and depression and all that starts going up. So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So a couple of questions from that. Well, specifically just one. Whenever you're, I guess with these types of clients, I guess, is it, like you said, it's a minimum of 6 months. What does it look like for it? Like, do you meet with them once a month? Can you, I guess, basically explain a little bit more about your program and what it looks like for a typical client?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, the way it starts is we'll do like an initial kind of discovery call, right? And that's before they're even a client. And that's just me learning more about them, kind of telling them more about what the program entails, and seeing if we'd be a good fit for each other. Right. So once we establish that, they sign up, then we go through the initial assessment process. And so essentially over the next 7 to 10 days, they take a picture and text me every single thing they eat and drink for the next 7 to 10 days. They also take all of that information and log it into an app like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, so that we can determine how many calories they're eating on average and how many, their macronutrient percentage averages and all that type of stuff. And then they fill out the initial questionnaire, which is like basically an assessment going into like the last 5 years of their life. And then they do the weigh-ins and body composition pictures and all that. From there, we set up our first kind of coaching call to go over that assessment. And so it's a Zoom video coaching call. It's an hour long, and we review over all of that assessment process. And we kind of start to create the roadmap as to what the next 6+ months are going to look like, right? Our game plan, our strategy. And from there, we kind of reverse engineer the process, right? I could probably, when I go through the assessment, I could probably tell people, 50 things that they're doing wrong or we need to fix or whatever. But like, this probably isn't the only thing that they need to focus on, right? They probably have like family and work and all that outside of that. So instead of trying to overwhelm them and kind of have like the all or nothing mentality, we just try to identify like what's the lowest hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. And so as you can imagine, over the next 6+ months, we're setting up a weekly 30-minute coaching call every single week, to where we're reviewing over, and just slowly but surely we're starting to go through the process of habit stacking, if you will. So it's, if you're sitting here looking at it, if you can imagine like a staircase with 100 stairs, right? And me and my client, we're at the very bottom of it. We just signed up, right? Join hands. We're going to take that first step up the staircase. We're going to establish that first habit. What is the first habit? I don't know. It's individual to you and whatever you need most, right? And then we're going to stack the next habit and the next habit and the next habit. And before you know it, you've transformed your lifestyle, right? So basically the coaching process, the coaching journey there is, I want to take, the $60,000 investment that I made in myself and getting a nutrition degree and all the thousands of clients I've worked with over the last 10 years. And I want to meet you where you are. And I want to help to educate you and equip you with the tools that you need to be successful on your own after you graduate the program, after you graduate ICoach University. And so that process looks different for everybody. There's some clients I work with for 6 months, and there's some clients I've been working with for 7 years. So like it really just depends on the journey. And I think the thing that's really cool is once we start to accomplish those nutrition and fitness, kind of the aesthetic performance health goals that you have for yourself, right? Then we start to move into, again, that personal and professional development category. And that's where you see people, they start to excel in those other areas. They start to excel in career. They start to excel as a husband or mother or father or whatever, right? So it's as much of a transformative process as you want it to be. It could just stop at nutrition and fitness, or it could really expand into a lot more. And I think that's what the journey was for me, right? Nutrition and fitness was a big part of my life, my whole life. Then I had things happen in my life where I had to really, really go all in on personal development and professional development to transform my mindset. And so what I always tell clients is like, you think you're coming to me for nutrition coaching, fitness coaching, whatever, like, and you are, but really what you leave with is the mindset that's developed along the way, right? Around the journey. And so many people are stuck in, the following a diet. What's the, keto, and like, what's the next diet coming out, right? They're constantly starting and stopping. Every time they stop, they lose integrity with themselves. So eventually you can imagine if by 40, 60 years old, you don't believe that, you think something, you're like, I'm old, I can't lose weight, I can't, you don't believe that you can do anything anymore. So it's a process there where it's like, I have to meet people where they are. And I work with so many different clients experiencing so many different struggles. And so I just do my best to help them to overcome those struggles, kind of one at a time, rather than trying to completely overload their whole life there.
Very interesting. I love that mindset shift approach that you're taking with this. And absolutely makes sense for, like you're saying, everyone has a very, very different lifestyle and different habits and different things that they need to fix and work on. So I mean, I absolutely love that. Now, I guess from that, how would you scale that, right? I mean, talking about, growing your own business, you by yourself at this point, is there a point where you will need to kind of bring more people in, or maybe shift the program a little bit so it's more maybe video based, not necessarily that one-on-one? How would you, I guess, tackle that next hurdle?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I thought when I first started the business that, just as you said, right? Like, how do you scale the business? Like, obviously you have to get more clients, and if you have more clients, you got to get more coaches. And that's what I thought. Then I got smart, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to charge $100 a month, $150 a month, $200 a month for coaching. Like, there's a million coaches charging that. I want to build a program that is VIP coaching. Like, I want to build a top tier program. I want to do high level ticket coaching to where where I'm at now, where it's like my business model is I want to work with 50 clients. I will have a wait list after that. I'll never work with more than 50 clients at one time. And it's at crazy. $500 a month.
Dang.
So that's $25,000 a month. Overhead, no more than $2,000. I'm good. I don't need to make more money than that. I could literally work, potentially, if I wanted to, a half day, Monday through Friday, be able to spend a lot of time with my family, provide a great life for them, help a lot of people. I don't need to have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of clients, and I truly believe that what I do working with clients, especially at this price point, the more you pay attention. Yeah. When the clients I had when I first started paying $100 a month compared to the clients I have now paying $500 a month, I'm a way better coach. My clients get way better results. I'm transforming lives. And not to mention, because they're getting results, they're referring their friends, their family, their coworkers, and I'm able to do the same for them. So I actually think I'm helping way more people by helping way less people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, your Instagram and just what you put out in general is like those free nuggets of advice and value that you give that way. Like, you're still spreading and helping people that through that as well. And I think that that's something that Christian and I ran into whenever we started with the company, is like, we were charging too little for a lot of services, and, we were getting our feet wet. And I think that's what everybody does as you kind of transition. And we were getting these people who wanted things done like yesterday, and they wanted it done perfectly, when we knew nothing about it. Like, their expectations were just through the roof. And then we brought on clients and we charged them like, 5 or 10 times more. Same thing like from what you were talking about. And those are the ones who were like, hey, look, just handle it. Let us know what's going on. I want to make sure that this is done correctly. And they're, you got to run this side of the business because I'm running our side of the business, like for us anyway. So it was like, they're more hands off and they're paying us more. It's like, is it really that simple? It's like you go up an echelon and you get higher quality clients while you make more money. It's like, it's just so, it's so simple, but it's so hard for people to say, like, because I think if there's people who are listening now who are like in the nutrition world, or say they're a personal trainer, or like, anything around that, or a business owner, like, wait, he charged 100 and then he went to 500. Like, how is he able to do that? And I think a lot of it's that mind shift of like, oh, everybody else does this, so I have to charge 100. And I'm not saying that your product is not a VIP. You have to give that VIP level. But I think that a lot of people just want to stay there because that's like, oh, people won't pay for that, or they have limiting beliefs around it. And I think that we did initially on too. And we're like, we can't charge more because no business owner is going to be able to afford it. And we found out that that's not true. It's not real, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was a situation for me where it's like, look, there's so many online coaches out there. And, I will be the first to say that having a degree doesn't mean a damn thing as a coach. But at the same time, like, I have a $60,000 nutrition degree. Like, these coaches don't. I was in the field for 8 years before I even made the jump online. A lot of these coaches jump right into online. They've never trained anybody in person before, like, so for me, it was like, I came in when I started my company undercharging because I looked at the market and I looked at what all the big nutrition coaching companies.
Yeah.
Well, of course, all the big nutrition coaching companies are going to end up charging the least amount because, again, they want more and more and more and more and more, right? And so I was like, wow, well, I'm basically completely flipping the model here, right? But it started to make more and more and more sense. And for me, I was like, man, like I could sit here and that's exactly what happened. It was like the first year, so the second year I grossed less than I did my first year, but I netted more than I did, right? So it was like, I just netted more money in year 2, didn't have a team to manage, didn't have all the stress to go along with that. Didn't have expenses going out the wazoo, so it was like, man, like, so yeah, I think that, I think before you start a business, and I know this is like so hard because a lot of times you're not going to know, you kind of figure it out. But like, I think for me, if I was to think about doing it all over again, I would have made sure I knew exactly what I wanted to build before I started building it. Because I just wouldn't have had to go through some of the hardships there. But at the same time, like, it's so easy to say now, right? Looking back on it, it's like, I'm glad that I made the transition when I did, instead of waiting another year, 2 or 3 or whatever. So I don't know. I think you have to know I'm not sitting here like any nutrition fitness coaches listening right now. Like, I'm definitely not telling you to just jump your prices up to $500 a month just because you can. Because if you do that and you're not legit, it will not work. I promise you. But again, it's like, I've been in the field now for 10 years and I charge this much. So, and I have probably 20 certifications, a nutrition degree, work with thousands of clients, like all that stuff. So definitely make sure that if you're going to charge premium prices, that you're going to, regardless of what prices you're charging, like, you're expected to over deliver, right? So as long as you over deliver, like, you're going to get referral clients. And if you're not getting referrals, you're definitely not over delivering. So I think that was a big piece for me. It was just like, man, like, nobody will ever care about my business as much as I do. And I saw that as I started bringing a team on, and I would never expect them to. It's not their business, but it's one of those situations where it's like, you have to do what's best for your brand. And when your brand is getting affected because of, other team members and things like that, it's like, you really have to do an assessment and figure out like what's going on. And for me, it was like, obviously I take blame of everything. Like, the onboarding, something was wrong. My management or what's like, I am at fault. But then I asked myself the questions like, man, do I really want to build a team? And right now at this point in my life, with a 1-year-old and then, trying for our next child here, it's like, I actually don't, like, I'm going to have my family to manage. I don't think I want to have a whole big team of people to manage on top of that, because ultimately my family is not going to get the attention that they need because of that sacrifice, So I don't know, man. There's no right or wrong, like, I think it's so hard to say. Like, all I can go off is off my experience. Like, I've seen there's plenty of people out there that have created amazing big companies and have amazing work-life balance and all that. But for me, not to say I'll never do it. I'll never build a team, but at this point in my life, I don't want to. I like the model. I like the model now that I'm going after.
That's success in my mind right there. It's just doing what you're good at and amazing at, but then also enjoying it too. Because let's say you made $1 million a year, and you made $1 million a year, but you even netted the same amount, but your quality of life was just down because you spent all of your time in the business. Like, it doesn't matter. I think you probably have read a lot of the same books that we have in starting our journey, and that is like, you have to basically hustle till you drop over, like we did in the business when we're first starting out, which I think you kind of do in the beginning, but then you realize, and like the dust settles, and it's like, okay, what do you really want out of this? Is it to reach that number because we just made up that number, or is it the lifestyle because of it? So like, do you really need to hit an X number or is it about quality of life because you're able to, still help people and do what you need to do? So I resonate with that a lot. I think that's very, I think it's bold, and it's very, I don't know. I just respect that a lot, just to take your business and say, like, look, I'm happy where I'm at. I could grow if I wanted to, but this is what I want. And I make a decent amount of money. I can provide for my family. This is the lifestyle I want. And I think there's just a lot to be said for that. That is probably a little counterintuitive to what you would see or hear from other business owners or entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I did, and on a podcast, I did. I mean, I literally said, like, to my followers, I was like, I mean, I feel like a failure because I didn't, I basically quit on myself in a sense, right? But it's just all perspective, right? It's all mindset, because it's like, well, are you quitting? Like, are you really quitting on yourself? Or like, and I think the family piece, like, if you don't have a family, like, it's hard to understand this, because I didn't understand it obviously until I had my kid. Which, maybe to give a little bit more context, I quit my job of 5 years, started the business. 2 months later, found out my wife was pregnant. Total, like, was not planning on that. That was a total, blessing, but a total accident. And so, like, just as you said, I mean, the first year I literally worked 7 days a week for 15 hours a day. And I had my back up against the wall because I had no choice but to succeed. And, it was the best way that you could ever start a business, because my back was up against the wall. I had to make it work. I had to succeed. And I had, my first child on the way. Like, what's more motivating than that, So it's like, I knew I was going to hustle my ass off that first year. I didn't know what was going to happen after that, but I figured I was probably going to have to transition a bit, change things up a bit. I couldn't keep doing that forever. So I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, you're right. If you look at, depending upon who you're listening to or whatever, it's really easy to get caught up in the hustle, team no sleep mentality or whatever. But success is defined differently to everybody. And I know that a huge part of success for me is being legitimately happy. And so I think that people should, just as much as they're chasing the dollar signs and they're chasing the growth and the numbers going up. And I get how addictive that is, trust me. But the numbers climbing up means absolutely nothing if your happy-o-meter is going down. And I would literally give just as much value to the growth of your company and growing your company and all those things as I would to your own mental health and happiness and health. Your own health. For a nutrition fitness coach, that my first year of business, I literally worked out less than I had ever in my life, ate worse than I had ever in my life, drank more than I had ever in my life, slept less than I ever had in my life. And I realized, wow, your health's your greatest asset. You do what you do. And now you're starting to not prioritize this. This ain't working. You got to flip the script. So I had a lot of different things that gave me the awareness I needed to take action, but ultimately I had to take action, that's the key, right? You got to actually do something about it. So, learned a lot, man. And I'll continue to learn, like, if I want to be an entrepreneur, continue to be an entrepreneur, as y'all know, it's like, it's not always like, right now I feel great and I'm loving life and I'm so happy, but it's not always like, there's no guarantee. And, I've got to sit here and continue to go through the ups and downs and bob with the punches and bob and weave. Like I always say, like, it's just part of it. And I think that's what separates people. And there's a lot of people that can't handle that type of uncertainty and that stress. And I totally get it. I just think that I was built that way because of a life I've lived up to this point, I guess. I don't know.
As we transition here, we got some rapid fire questions for you. I see you're finishing the water, so we don't want to make sure that your mouth goes too dry on this, but this has been really fun. So just a couple of rapid fire questions for you. This is typically a question that stumps most people. So if you want to stretch or figure out something people can see on video just to get ready for this question, I'm just kidding. All right. So what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or recent memory?
$100 or less. You can tell how rapid fire I am here. I'm like looking around my office. I'm trying to think about, you know what? I got it. Well, no, I'm not going to use that.
That's the one you should share then.
Yeah, but it's not life-changing. It was more just life-changing for my kitchen. It is an air fryer, by the way. No,
okay. Nice.
Honestly, man, it's the thing, not even the last 6 months, the thing that changed my life 10 years ago, which is like, you pay $15 a month for an Audible account. It forces you to have 1 credit a month to read a book, and you read a book once a month, and you read 12 books a year, and you watch it change your life as you do that year after year after year. Because I 100%, like, I mean, I'm telling y'all could go ask anybody from my high school, like how I was. If y'all knew me back then and you knew me now, like I've had a million people tell me this, like you did a complete transformation. Like I thought you were going to be in jail for the rest of your life. I thought you were going to be a worthless piece of like that was me then. So books changed my absolute life. Like become somebody that is so focused on using all of this knowledge that's out there through books and podcasts, and I mean watch yourself grow, right? And I'm like, I know this isn't rapid fire, sorry, but I'm like super dyslexic, super ADD, ADHD, whatever. And so growing up in school, I sucked at reading. My classmates could read a book 3 times faster than me. And so I literally thought I was like dumb. I was like, wow, like I can't read. Figured out that if I do audio, I can listen to it, I retain it, like I have no issues. So that's how I got through school. That's how I continue to learn today, is everything is through Audible. I go for a walk every single morning, hour and a half, 8,000 steps to knock it out, get an hour and a half of reading every day. Like
that's awesome.
That for me personally is the best investment you could ever make in yourself.
If you're paying $15 for Audible, I want to know why. I'm just kidding. Mine's $17. I just want to pick a bone with them.
Well, I'm an OG. That's probably why.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna send a message to you, Amazon. All right, Netflix binge. This could be. You can be honest if it's your wife. If we're doing air quotes here, who's making you watch it, or what are you guys Netflix binging, or I guess Disney Plus or Hulu, I guess is now options as well.
Yeah, well, my wife's obsessed with The Bachelor, so I definitely watch that with her.
Nice. Way to admit it. We appreciate that.
Yeah, dude,
You have a team, or is there like a team? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. I'm sure Christian, he's laughing because he watches it too.
I've seen a few episodes here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen literally every single one, probably multiple times. But what's funny with her is she listens to like all of their podcasts on top of it. So it's like if that's not on, the podcasts are rolling. And I'm like, all right, I don't care about this Bachelor too much. But Netflix wise, I'll make myself look real funny. There's another show. It's called Selling Sunset. Like I don't know if y'all have ever seen that one, but like they're these real estate like agents. Like it's super like chick show for sure. But they're selling real estate in California, like in the hills or whatever, right? And I don't know. I actually like that. I think I like it just because it's like selling real estate. But it's if I told you that my 2 favorite shows are the 2 shows we watch the most on Netflix are The Bachelor and Selling Sunset, y'all probably are laughing at me right now, but that's okay. Truth bombs.
Truth bombs. Most relatable. That's funny. No, that's good. All right. Really, when everybody's been trying to figure out or wants to know now, other than if they figure out in their show notes, but what's the best way for them to reach out to you to either be find out more about your content, but more importantly to have you help them and train them with the life coaching and nutrition coach? And what's the best way for them to find out more about you?
Yeah. If anybody wants to connect, I mean, you can go on the website. It's just ICoachNutrition.com. If you want to reach out to me kind of more directly there, probably Instagram would be the best spot. So it's just at Coach Justin Murphy. And outside of that, have the podcast ICoach Nutrition Radio. So those would probably be the 3 main places there. And then if you wanted to, if you search Team ICoach Nutrition on Facebook, that's our private Facebook group. And so if you request to join, it's a free community that I go and I do like Facebook Lives, just teaching on different topics, cooking videos, all that type of stuff. And so it's just a free community of education and support. If anybody wants to jump in there, and hopefully that can add some value. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, I mean, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram, probably the easiest way.
Awesome. And we'll have all of that in the show notes too for you guys over on our website. And if you're listening on whatever podcast platform, will be in the notes there. So make sure to go check out the group, check out Justin. It was a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. It was fun to chat with you, Justin. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Aaron, Christian, thanks so much, guys. It was fun. I appreciate y'all.
The Marketing Natives Podcast is a production of BitBranding.